Make the Monday Night Football theme our intro.
Dun, 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 dun.
That motherfuckers be suing us in no time.
Some Ben would have an email or something in his mailbox by the night fooling with them guys.
There's
man.
actually a knockoff theme that sounds really similar to it that
Let's
you
use
could
that.
probably use. That's royalty free that you could use. So we actually
Wow.
could use one, but I'm not even gonna.
You know what? You know what song I actually like? I would be cool with for a theme. Remember the joint from HBO 24/7?
Yes.
The one that was pretty hot to me. I thought that was cool.
Oh,
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, they have.
Okay.
Let me get my stuff up here.
All right, come on. You can kick it off, V. Let's get this thing on and popping.
Let's go.
Let's give it 20 seconds. Hang on, though.
Oh, V still has technical difficulties.
No, we're good.
V was the one that won.
All right, let's. All right, we ready?
Yep.
Let's do it.
All right, ladies and gents, what's up, guys? Fighthype Radio Live, back on. Wanted to take a few minutes with the game. I got my man Ben with me, Ben Thompson, as you guys know, Percy Crawford, Sean's in the building with us. Basically, wanted to take a recap and look over everything that happened this weekend. Obviously, there was a fight that happened, but it's more the festivities in that fight and the road ahead after that fight that we want to take a few minutes to focus on this afternoon. So I guess the appropriate thing to do so that we don't gloss over anyone, we'll talk about the fight itself, fellas, starting with Tyson Fury and Pianetta. Hopefully I'm saying that right. How did you guys think he looked? I know last radio show we spoke a lot about how that was going to set up the possible showdown with Deontay Wilder, which we know is going to happen now. How do you guys think Tyson actually looked in the prelude to that showdown?
I mean, I thought in comparison to what I would consider the elite echelon of the division, which is definitely Wilder and Joshua, that he looked trash. You know, I thought, if we're comparing him to guys near or at the bottom of the top 10, he could still probably beat those guys. I think he'd struggle with them a lot right now. But I thought he looked really bad. At no point did he ever hurt Pianetta. At no point did he called himself like the heavyweight Ray Leonard. At no, he had some spots where he landed shots off the ropes. But he does throw a lot of arm punches, which is part of why he doesn't hit hard. And I think coming back from these 3 years, he's not as explosive as he once was. So that makes him even less effective. But I didn't think he looked that good. I didn't think he looked like the kind of guy who is a real threat to Wilder or Joshua. I don't know if he ever really will be again. I think he could improve with a few more fights and taking his time coming back. But I think he's really eroded some of his talent to the point of no return. It really, I don't know if people really get how hard it is to come back from he made himself obese, over 350 pounds. And then, other fighters used to do cocaine and used to party, but they were fighting 4 or 5 times a year, 3 or 4 times a year in the gym, staying in shape. They didn't do what he did when he had his substance abuse problems. So I think if he fights Wilder next, he'll get knocked out. And he really has lost something from 3 years ago. But I think even 3 years ago, he would have lost the fight to Deontay Wilder. But I gave him, on a scale of 1 to 10, about a 4. I don't really see how someone could think Fury's going to beat Deontay Wilder. It's like he's not going to knock him out. He couldn't even hurt Pianetta, who's been stopped by guys like, didn't he get stopped by Kevin Johnson? I know he went life and death with a 58-year-old Oliver McCall. And it's like, I don't see it. He's not going to knock Wilder out. So you think he's Pernell Whitaker? He's just going to slip everything for 12 rounds with that, not even looking at some of the shots, defense, turning his head like this. That's just good reflexes. He's just been blessed with some good reflexes. But when he goes up against the top level guys, he's not going to be able to get away with just, getting away. Yeah, I mean, I'm oversimplifying here, obviously, but yeah, I think he's in trouble if he fights Deontay Wilder next, man. I'll take that. We heard earlier today the bet is almost 50-50. I'll take that bet at the books for Deontay Wilder by knockout. So
Percy, talk to me, man. What were your thoughts, Percy, on the performance of of Tyson Fury Saturday
Not
night?
as harsh as Sean. I thought Tyson Fury did what he wanted to do. If you listen to him after the fight, he talked about getting 10 rounds in. That was the goal. I think he could have took Pianetta out anytime he wanted to, but I think the goal for this fight was getting rounds in. I think sometimes we overlook when there's a big fight on the horizon. Think about how some guys look. Remember Oscar De La Hoya versus Steve Forbes. Remember De La Hoya again versus Felix Sturm. Sometimes when there's a big fight on the horizon, you do just enough to win while getting rounds in, while trying to test out your conditioning and things like that. That's kind of what I saw from Tyson Fury. But I go back to what I said the last time. Anyone that was looking for Tyson Fury to go out and wow you, name me a fight where he's wowed you. Tyson Fury has always benefited on his size, his footwork, his movement, things that the normal guys his size are not supposed to be able to do. Tyson Fury is able to do. Me personally, I already got some side bets. I'm going Deontay Wilder, but I think it's more so from not because he looked bad in this fight, because Tyson Fury's dimensions and his skill set. How do you launch your offense against a guy that big? That's why we can say Tyson Fury hasn't wowed you, but who's wowed you against Tyson Fury? Really, no one. So I would lean Wilder, probably pick him by stoppage, but I definitely was. I was impressed to the fact that he toyed with another man that size and probably could have took him out, but I think it was more about getting rounds.
All right, Ben, let's hear your thoughts on that one.
Well, I mean, obviously, before the fight, I was saying if it lasts longer than 6, I would be disappointed. Clearly, it lasted longer than 6, but in hindsight, I don't know. That's probably a good thing for Tyson Fury. I mean, I definitely think that he needed to get the rounds in. You know, he needed to get his timing back. He needed to get the rust off, and you know, I think that was a good thing for him. I mean, is he ready for Deontay Wilder? I think he's about as ready as he's gonna be. I don't see him fighting anybody else, and that person getting him any more ready than he is right now. I mean, Tyson Fury. I don't know if you guys got a chance to see the post-fight press conference, but Tyson Fury is very confident about this fight. He's not just taking this fight for money, you know, at least he says he's not. You know, he's not taking this fight because he thinks that he's going to lose. Like, he really, really, truly feels like he's ready for this Deontay Wilder fight. And, you know, I say, why not? Why not? I mean, you have to be motivated when you're going into a fight, you know, and I'm sure it's hard to get up for guys like Pianetta, guys like Seferi, you know. I think he's definitely going to be up for a Deontay Wilder fight, and you know, like I said, I mean, from what I saw from him, I mean, I don't think he looked as bad as Sean thinks he looked. Sean thought he looked terrible. I actually thought he started to look like the Tyson Fury of old. I mean, Percy, like you said, he's never really been, you know, a super exciting guy inside the ring. You know, I mean, his style of fighting is to use his jab and pick away at you and get the win. And from what I saw against Pianetta, that's probably about as close to a prime Tyson Fury as we're gonna get. So yeah, man, if he's confident, if he's feeling it, I mean, Deontay Wilder's confident too, you know, and I think, Sean, when you were interviewing Evander Holyfield, he was talking about how important confidence is in a fight. But just as confident as Deontay Wilder is, Tyson Fury really believes Deontay Wilder's style is all wrong for him. You know, and he's ready to go. He's ready to do this. So I say, bring it on, bro. And I don't know. I mean, listen, everybody that's picking Deontay Wilder is saying he's going to knock Tyson Fury out. And I agree. If, you know, Deontay Wilder's going to win, he's going to knock Tyson Fury out. But what if he can't land that punch, man? What if he can't, what if he can't? I guess he doesn't really have to land it flush. He just has to land it on the glove so he can knock a guy out. But if Tyson Fury can dance and stay away and play keep away for 12 rounds, he could squeak out of there with a unanimous decision win, split decision win, majority decision win, any kind of decision win. So I'm not necessarily ruling out the possibility of Tyson Fury getting the victory. That's just my.
That's I think you bring up some interesting points there, Ben, and just to throw my thoughts in on the whole thing, I think that you actually made a really good point, Ben. In Percy, I think you alluded to this earlier as well. We've never seen Tyson Fury necessarily wow anybody. He's just not that type of guy. But we also have to respect the fact that this guy is undefeated, and it's a method to his madness. He's found a way to get it done with the attributes and skills that he has. And although I guess we can say Deontay Wilder is considered more prime, and he didn't take the time off, so he's a little more fresh. Tyson Fury is very good at what he does do. And Ben mentioned about how that's probably as close to a prime Tyson Fury as we've seen in a minute. And to be honest, you have to remember, he's going to have a little bit more time now to train. And I think 100% he will be up for that fight. I'm not saying he wins it, but as I think about it in the context of fights we've seen with him and the amount of pride that he has, a lot of people don't talk about that. Tyson Fury has an incredible amount of pride. I don't think it's going to be very easy for Wilder to land that punch on him. So then you have to ask yourself, what happens if he can't? Can Wilder control the fight with the jab for 12 rounds and find a way to do it? Tyson's very slippery. So, will Wilder be able to land the jab and come across it with the big right or whatever? I think it's going to be interesting, and I'm looking forward to the fight. But it may be close with the odds that we see for a reason.
When do you think the fight's going to happen? I know they're talking November 10th or 17th or something like that. So
I'm hoping the 17th because the 10th for me personally isn't a good date. But I've heard the 17th.
I'll let them know.
Yeah, please make that call when we get.
I got you.
But no, I'm thinking that based on what I've heard, actually the 17th is sounding more like the possible date because a few other things that's going on in November. So we'll see.
And in regards to Fury, again, just how I thought he looked in there during the fight, I just thought
he looked like shit.
I did, and I think I saw. Although I did see the rust, like you were saying, Ben. You said as the fight went on, you saw him looking more and more like the Tyson Fury we remembered, and I agree to a degree. Like I saw the rust melting off, or I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but I saw the rust going away round to round. I did, but I still saw his back was against the ropes a lot more than it ever used to be. Couldn't move around the ring for a consistent 3 minutes of every round like he used to be.
He did that on purpose?
We can't see. I don't want to assume he can do things he hasn't shown me, especially not after the not fighting for 3 years and everything that went along with that. I thought his speed wasn't the same. The snap on his punches aren't the same. And even like talking about, he wanted to get rounds in. I agree that makes sense. And Percy listed some great examples, especially De La Hoya, who would look real flat in 12-round fights, 10-round fights before a mega fight. I remember another one was Yuri Boy Campus. But at what point? Okay, so you're going 9 or 10 rounds. Why not in the 9th or the 10th round show us some of your A-level stuff or something close to it? Unleash a barrage of punches. Something that can hurt Pianetta. I mean, he never even hurt the guy. This guy had been stopped multiple times.
I think
he may have buzzed him a little bit.
I think right. With a body
that got called a low blow.
Right.
I
mean, but don't you think? Like I don't like having watched the fight. I do kind of feel like he was working on certain things, bro. After the fight was over, he went to his locker room and did like 3 rounds of pads or something like that. Like he hit the mitts after the fight was over. Like who does that? I mean, I definitely feel like he was working on some things in there. No.
Yeah, and I lost the link for a second there, but yeah, he was definitely working on things. But And at what point did he show this? Because again, I think he's going to have to. And I missed some of what you said because I missed the link. But for 12, you would think while Fury's going to have to slick his way and box his way through 12 rounds. We think this even though he didn't show that movement consistently in the fight for 10 rounds. He didn't fight at a great pace for 10 rounds. He's like, yeah, I went 10 rounds. But you fought at a pretty dull pace to go those 10 rounds. So I didn't see. I don't know what he's showing us as of right now. And like you guys said, he never really did show us all that. But I did used to see more movement, more athleticism, more speed, more snap on his punches. And I think all of that's gone down. And I don't think it'll be all that hard within a 12-round fight for Wilder to eventually catch him clean and maybe even get a highlight reel knockout. When you lose some of your athleticism, like look at Sergio Martinez against Cotto. When he lost some of those legs and some of those reflexes, that athletic style, that unorthodox style didn't hold up as well. I think we could see something like that happen with Fury against Wilder next.
I think I'm sorry, P. I was going to say real quickly, just to interject and jump on the back of what Sean just said right there. I do think that's a very legitimate point. I mean, we have to remember, guys, you've had fighters who've taken time off from the ring, and they just did that. But this is a guy who not only took time off from the ring, but there's the documented drug stuff, the cocaine, whatever the heck he was playing with. When you, living life, a hell of a lot of life doing what he was doing. But I mean, when you deplete your body that way, and you're not early 20s or something, I mean, it takes a lot. Hey, we all men on the phone. We know the deal. You start to get up there in age a little bit. Yeah. Some mornings you feel pains you didn't quite feel a couple years ago, and we're not athletes. So, I mean, imagine what these guys feel. I guess what I'm getting at, I don't know how easy it's going to be for him to recapture what he had. And we're questioning whether or not what he had in his prime was enough. So, I mean, I could see why guys are leaning Wilder, but I just think when you look at Tyson Fury, the level of pride that guy has, he's going to find a way. He's going to pull a Joe Calzaghe. He's going to find a way to make it ugly as hell, and just stink it all the way to the finish line. But if it goes 12, I think he actually has a decent shot because he's slippery enough to make Wilder miss a lot. And if he's landing some things and, gets a few good shots, we just don't know what it's going to be in the eyes of the judge. So it's going to be interesting. But Percy, you're about to say something. Go ahead, my man.
Yeah, I think when we say he was on the ropes a lot, he slowed the pace down a lot. I think we forget what carrying a fighter is. When Floyd Mayweather came out for the McGregor fight, we were like, what the hell is he doing against the ropes and slipping and sliding? That's how you carry a fighter. You be in positions that you're normally not in to just avoid damage and not inflict any. I think he carried Pianetta for as long as he wanted to. It went the distance. And I think when I say Tyson Fury has never wowed me, I never questioned his skill set even in his prime. I'm just saying he's not a guy. Look, if you beat Vladimir Klitschko, I think I had it 9 rounds to 3. You a bad boy. I just don't think you're ever going to watch a Fury fight and replay it for your buddies to watch. That's what I mean when I say that. But his dimensions, everything he brings to the table, I think we just watched him carry a guy. And I don't question his. I see people saying like maybe he'll be more dedicated for Wilder. Maybe y'all have an easier way to lose 130 pounds than I know. But this guy lost about 150 pounds, and that is not from lack of motivation. So I think his comeback fights have shown motivation because that's a ton of weight. Don't get me wrong. It sucks he did that to his body to get up to 300 something plus pounds. But losing the kind of weight he's lost, that's the dedication aspect. Whether that's for a fighter, the bag at the end of these fights, whatever. He's shown the dedication. I just think he's going to crank it up a notch in terms of what he's doing on the boxing front. These were weight loss camps. Now he can actually work on some of the shit we saw him doing in the locker room after his fight.
Yeah, and he's not for nothing, but he's probably going to be the most active heavyweight this year. I mean, fighting Deontay Wilder will make his third fight this year. I mean, he fought in June, he fought in August, and now he's going to fight Deontay Wilder in November. Like, that's I mean, that's insane. Like, I don't know any heavyweight that's fighting like that. And again, I mean, the guys that he fought were, some soft touches, but I really feel like there's a method behind his madness. I feel like he picked these fights, especially like Pianetta. I definitely feel like there were certain things that he wanted to work on in that fight. And not to mention, we don't know what's going on in sparring. He's had some better names than the guy he's fought in sparring with him. And, people are saying he looks pretty good. That being said, I know that David Haye, my man Raza over there in the UK, he was at the fight. He actually caught up with David Haye. And David Haye was giving Deontay Wilder some major props. I mean, he was saying people don't understand how much of an accurate sharpshooter Deontay Wilder is, and which is contrary to the popular belief that Deontay Wilder is the windmill punches and this, that, and the other. People talk about how sloppy he looks, but we're hearing from a guy in David Haye who actually did several rounds with Deontay Wilder, who's talking about how accurate he is, how much of a sharpshooter he is, and
he's gotten a lot better since then.
I was going to say that. I think is the deal with Deontay, and I can literally think about his evolution from the early days to what we see now. There was a point where I used to question his accuracy, and then something Sean said the other day actually occurred to me a while back, where it's not that he wings it all the time. He wings it after he's clocked the hell out of you. When you're flopping around, he's still throwing with everything he got, and he's already landed the bomb. But here's the thing, though. I think when you look at the emergence of his jab, like right now, Deontay Wilder has one of the better, stiffer jabs in the game. And I don't even hear people talk about that. But more importantly, he's learned how to set up his shots behind that jab. So I think the evolution that we've seen in him, a lot of people are not sold on because we haven't seen it a lot. But those of us who really know what to look for and are looking at things a little bit more analytically, I think for a fact you can see that there's been an evolution with him. And that's something that Tyson Fury is going to have to account for when they actually square off.
Yeah, he's got a good jab. He just doesn't use it enough.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I would totally agree. So let me ask you boys this. Let's go around the horn on this one. With the I did see a headline with Tyson Fury actually saying that he wish he could get another fight or two in. Cop out or true story?
For that Fury wants to get wishes he get another fight or two in?
Do you view that as a cop out in case of a possible loss, or do you think he legitimately just wants to get another fight in before the fight?
Both. Both. Yeah, I think he does have his bag of excuses ready. Should he lose to Wilder, he would state all the obvious ones, things that we've already talked about here. But yeah, I think he genuinely does, and his dad talked about it too. They wish they could get a fight or two in, but I question if we talked about this last time. Maybe if Frank Warren, maybe if his team doesn't want to put him in there with a guy in a caliber higher than a Pianetta or a Safiri, like a Carlos Takam or like a Brian Jennings. Someone like that might knock his block off. So maybe they're trying to get this Wilder fight while it's for the taking, while they can make a $20 million payday off of it. But I do think Fury will state a lot of expected excuses if he loses. I think that's what 99% of fighters do. I do think he wishes he could get a fight or two in. I think it could help his chances, but I still think at this point, even if he got 4 or 5, even if he took all of 2019 to get ready, I just like Wilder over Fury right now. I think Fury's not a puncher, and he's eroded some of his physical gifts to the point of no return, where maybe he could get him back as he continues to shake the rust off, but I don't think he'll ever quite be the same nimble guy at 6'9" he was. Even though he's still nimble for 6'9", I don't think he'll be at that level again. But yeah, I think it's both. He wishes he'd get a fight back, and he's got excuses ready.
I think he's just being honest. I mean, yeah, it probably would make more sense if he got just like one more fight in before he fought Deontay Wilder. I mean, that's just, yeah, that makes sense. But at the same time, why wait? Like, what's the point? Especially if he feels like, Deontay Wilder is not on his level, which he said multiple times. He's called him a bum, even though he did get honest in the press conference and said it was going to be his hardest fight. But all those guys are hard fights, bro. Bryant Jennings is not an easy fight for anyone. He wasn't even an easy fight for Klitschko.
Right.
Like at heavyweight. Again, this is kind of what I was talking about a couple shows ago or whatever, when I was talking about the heavyweight division and the competition level in the heavyweight division, and how on any given night any one of these guys could probably win. I'm not sure if anyone has cemented themselves as, unbeatable in the division. But I don't know. It's just hard to say. Like I said, I think he's just being honest when he makes that comment. I don't really think it's an excuse.
No, I agree. I think he's being honest. Tyson Fury seems like a pretty stand-up guy to me. I don't know if he would be the one fishing for excuses. I always say a man's initial reaction is his real reaction. I think the fight's happening now because if you look at Tyson Fury's initial reaction, it had nothing to do with Wilder, nothing to do with boxing. He said Anthony Joshua is I don't know how PG we are, pussy, and he's making us all look bad. I think that's his initial reaction, and I think that's his real reaction. This was more to show up Anthony Joshua. Win, lose, or draw, he's doing something that people at least perceive Anthony Joshua is avoiding. And I think that's why that was his initial reaction. I think that's why even now you'll see him kind of take a jab at Anthony Joshua. That's what this fight happening is about. I think him and Deontay Wilder got on the phone, and it was kind of a, you know what, send me a contract because he's too much of a wuss or whatever. But I think that's why it's happening. I do think they probably wish they could have got a couple more fights. You're facing possibly the most dangerous fighter in the world. So, yeah, you always want to get your feet wet as much as you can. But like Ben said, why wait? Who's to say the next guy isn't going to be just as dangerous? So I think it was more or less the upstage Joshua. That's why it's happening. And, now he's dealing with it.
Do you think it's crazy to think that Frank Warren is taking the Wilder fight too, knowing that if Fury loses, that the fight with Joshua could still generate tons of money and sell out arenas in the UK? And then another one, what you were saying, Percy, it's basically he's just got pride. He's a guy, a fighter with pride, so he stepped up to the plate. But really, why, if he wants to take another fight or two, why is he rushing into it now? I mean, I don't
know if it's a rush though, Sean. I think, listen, if you talk to Shane Mosley after the fight with the whole toothache thing, I think he probably would have fought Floyd right then and there if the money was right. But he could kind of push it all. Look, I want to go on vacation. Man, my tooth's chipped.
I don't know if Jin would let him.
Yeah, he just had reasons to go about it. I think in Tyson Fury's case, yeah, he could take other fights, and if he lose, him and Joshua could be a big fight still. But this is the upstage. This is the show. The fans like, and he just overstates that too much for that not to be at least one of the reasons. Like, right. I'm giving the fans what they want. I'm not a pussy like him. And when you say that enough, you either believe it or you want to start making yourself believe it. I think he believes that.
We were talking about
my tooth hurts.
Yeah, man. Oh, that hurt. I want to see that fight.
Fellas, let's you guys actually you all just touched on Joshua, and one of you, I don't remember which one of you said it, but you alluded to the fact that basically he's one up in Joshua, referring to Fury, by taking this fight right now. And I think that actually it's a very strategical move that could work and pay major dividends. Let's look at the possibility of him actually defeating Wilder. Let's say they go into this fight and he actually defeats Wilder. I don't think he has the juice to knock him out, but let's say he defeats him over 12. He sets up an immediate rematch that's going to do big money overseas, and the winner of that fight is automatically in place to take on Joshua after Joshua's fought a few more soft touches, which I think Hearns and that crew is trying to put him in position to do. So looking at it from the business standpoint, I mean, would you guys agree that it actually makes sense for Tyson Fury to take this fight now when you think about it that way?
Yeah, I think so. I think the fight definitely makes business sense. So just to be short about it, yeah, I think the fight makes great business sense. Whether he wins or loses, it's a huge payday, and he'll still have options whether he wins. And then, yeah, in that scenario, if he wins, he's bigger than ever, and pretty much the same options in front of him would be even more lucrative. So he's sitting pretty. That's what happens when you're holding on to what a lot of people still believe is the lineal title, and you're undefeated, and you know how to sell fights with your mouth. He's put himself in a nice position.
Yeah, I think anytime you take risk, it makes sense because there's always profit from it. Honestly, win, lose, or draw against Wilder, just say Fury loses and he goes 12. Anthony Joshua would have to decapitate Alexander Povetkin for fans to overlook Fury going 12 rounds with Wilder. So I think he's in a good position. I think win, lose, or draw, Anthony Joshua would have to do it a whole lot for us not to talk about Fury stepping up to the plate. I mean, hell, Fury was late to the game and got the best fight you can get.
That's a really good point. What you got on that one, Ben?
No, I think it's a win-win. I think it's a win-win for Fury. Even if he loses, people are going to say, oh, well, he didn't have enough fights prior and this, that, and the other. So it's a win-win. I definitely would take it if I was Tyson Fury. According to Frank Warren, it was a 50-50 split. Both guys split it right down the line, 50-50.
Wow.
I think we're actually underestimating how much some of these guys truly want to fight the best and make big fights. I think we underestimate, not we as in people on this line, but boxing in general. I think we underestimate that there are still guys out there that, sometimes you can put pride and money to the side to make the biggest and best things happen. I think we underestimate that a little bit. We got a couple guys willing to do that still.
Well, that right there is why Joshua's in my doghouse. I mean, I like the guy, I like what he brings to the sport. I love a lot about him. But honestly, of all these guys in the mix right now in the heavyweight division, my personal opinion is that he was the least interested in being the man. And all he ever said was that he wanted the belts. He had the opportunity, and I don't think the negotiations had to go as difficult as they did in the case with Deontay Wilder. I just didn't feel like he wanted it. And I think Lennox Lewis, a lot of other guys around the league, the sport have said the same thing. I know Evander Holyfield, if I remember correctly, touched on that as well. So he just didn't seem like, to me, like he actually wanted it. But talking about Anthony Joshua, I know this is primarily a show about Fury and Pianeta, Fury, Wilder, etc. But if we can for a few minutes, guys, let's take a look at that fight with him and Povetkin. Let's say that fight doesn't work out for him. Like, what are your thoughts on that fight, fellas? We touched on this a little bit before, but you guys can expand on it this time around. What are your thoughts about the Povetkin fight and what type of risk he could be for someone like Anthony Joshua? Do you guys feel it's a risk? What are your thoughts on that, guys?
Go ahead, Sean. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I think I think that Povetkin at 38, he's always kind of fallen short of fighting the top guy. So I mean, he only has one loss, and that's the Klitschko. But he fell out with Deontay Wilder for substance abuse, PEDs. But Povetkin is, even despite, I think he won the gold medal, isn't that right, in the Olympics? Yeah, he's never been a guy that's wowed me either. He's one of these hangovers from the Vladimir Klitschko era, which I thought was weak. Didn't have a whole lot of explosive fighters that were that talent. I think the division's better now. I don't think it'll be that hard of a fight for Anthony Joshua. I think Joshua is the best heavyweight in the world. I even think he's starting to get a little too much flack now, because I get it. People are falling in love with Wilder and his power, and people are falling in love with Fury and his colorful personality and the unorthodox style that he brings. But I still think this guy is the best schooled, the best technical skills, and he's become an underrated puncher, because everyone's becoming so in love with Deontay Wilder's right hand that they forget that Anthony Joshua's only had one guy go the distance with him, a guy who was 26 years old and Joe Parker, who's never been stopped. And he was being a little timid that fight. He's been a little timid since getting dropped by Klitschko. But I think when the Wilder fight inevitably happens, he'll rise to the occasion. And I still pick him to come out as the last man standing with all the belts. So I look over the Povetkin fight. I'm sure Povetkin can maybe test him in some rounds, but I think inevitably Joshua will either stop him or he could look timid again and go another 12 rounds, and that's not good for his stock. But he'll definitely beat Povetkin because I think he's the best heavyweight in the world. But when you were talking earlier, Vivek, V, about how he didn't look like he really wanted the Wilder fight yet, I don't know if that fight was perfectly ready yet. And I'm not a Mayweather-Pacquiao guy. I hated the both sides. We could debate whatever, but I blame both sides. That's just how I usually get down.
Really?
I mean, that may not be. Ben has great information on that. He was talking to parties actually involved in the negotiations. But from where I'm sitting, which when it came to Mayweather-Pacquiao was definitely more of a fan's perspective, I blame both parties for the biggest fight not happening. So I don't want Joshua and Wilder, to hold the fight up and milk it for all it's worth. But I do think the fight could use another year and a half of marination. Both fighters are still in their prime. They're going to be in their prime for the next 2 or 3 years. So I thought late 2019 would have been a perfect date for Joshua and Wilder. So I think it's working out perfect. This is really working out perfect because when Wilder knocks out Fury, if the fight does happen next, I think it's going to upgrade Joshua and Wilder much bigger. It's going to be a bigger fight all throughout the world, a bigger fight in America because Wilder will have had a pay-per-view in America and will have knocked out a lot of people who they regard as the second best British heavyweight behind Joshua. Some might even regard him as the best. So, yeah, I think Joshua's going to do his thing against Povetkin. I think he's the best heavyweight in the world. So.
Anytime I see a guy fail multiple tests like Povetkin has, I don't know who that fighter is. I don't know what Alexander Povetkin is 100% clean. Obviously, for this fight, he's going to be 100% clean. I'm sure they're under some type of testing banner. That being said, I don't know. I think Anthony Joshua, this is a really big fight for Joshua in the sense of he has looked timid and he hasn't looked like the guy that we had grown accustomed to seeing. Are we going to see that guy again? And Povetkin is who he has been in the past. He should be there for him to get off on. So I think this is a huge fight for Anthony Joshua, not only to win, but to look spectacular. And he has to put something on his ledger because he is losing steam. I think fans are looking at him as the guy that's avoiding fights. I think fans are looking at him as the guy that's starting to fight a little more timid. I think fans are looking at him as a guy that's shrinking on the scale. That's a lot compound on to a guy that you start looking at him sideways. You start looking at him funny, especially when other things big are happening in the division. So I think this is a huge fight for him. I think he should spark Povetkin at the very least, because I don't want to talk like these high-level guys just go get knocked out. At the very least, he should look very good against him over the course of 12 rounds, if not stop him. If not, I think everyone on here said it, it's going to be a major stock plummet because people are already kind of side-eyeing him a little bit.
Ben, I want to hear your thoughts on this. Then I got a follow-up question because I thought there was some real. Go ahead.
I kind of co-sign both guys. I mean, I think that now that the Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury fight has been announced, I think Joshua better look damn good against Alexander Povetkin. He better blast him out of there if he wants to keep people on his side. I mean, listen, he's always going to have the British fans on his side, so I don't think he has to worry about that. But just worldwide, especially over here in the United States, I think it's definitely looking like Anthony Joshua is the guy that did not want the fight. Whether that's true or not doesn't really matter in public opinion. It's all about perception. It's all about controlling the headlines. And right now, Deontay Wilder is dominating the headlines in the United States. So,
well, Ben, the public perception was that Floyd Mayweather was ducking Pacquiao, and that damn sure didn't hurt his stock.
I don't think that was the public perception. I don't think that was the total. But no, here's the thing.
Casual people that know sport, they go up to you and say, "Why is Floyd ducking Manny? You Mayweather scared." The same people who say,
you also had that strong contingent who felt like, who the hell turns down the test, making more money, that much more money than they've ever made. So I think that was the logic that prevailed in my realm. Everyone I spoke, I remember going through that like it was yesterday, and I can remember family members I haven't even freaking talked to in years. Yo, man, my phone's ringing. I don't even know who the hell is calling. Yo, why is this guy not taking the test? That was a strong logic, I think, and it was my logic. I mean, I supported both guys. There was a point where I felt like Floyd could have done more. Well, it did, because he ended up getting a hell of a lot less when it finally happened than he would have gotten if he had peed in the cup to begin with. So I think it did hurt him in the long run. I mean, you think about it. If he agreed to it when that fight was initially talked about, what he could have gotten at that point was night and day from what he was able to command when he finally said, okay, whatever. And the same thing that happened there, I'm afraid could happen here, where Manny Pacquiao's stock plummeted a little bit based on the knockout to Manuel Marquez and some of that stuff. What I was going to ask is, in the event that Joshua does not look great, fellas, against Povetkin, which I'm part of that small contingent that thinks that is a possibility. He's not always easy to hit, not as easy as it looks, thinking about what fighters who faced him I've talked to in the past have said. But he also has a pretty decent punch. So he has a little bit of a pedigree there. But if he does not look as good in this fight, what do you think we're going to see from Eddie Hearn when the rest of the world is saying, well, your fighter's stock dropped, you should make it easier to negotiate? Do you think Eddie Hearn is going to actually do you think he'll close the gap on that wide margin we see? Or do you think that he'll continue to stick to the flat fee rate and all of that stuff and hold their current position?
Let Ben tackle that one. He talked to Eddie.
Okay. Ben, you're on the hot seat.
First, I want to get back to the Anthony Joshua, Mayweather, all that. I think the major difference in that, Sean, is the fact that, okay, so the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight didn't happen. If you remember, I think they were supposed to fight in early 2010 or something like that. I know after Manny fought Cotto in 2009, they were talking about fighting in March of 2010. So the fight didn't happen right away. So, Mayweather fought Shane Mosley instead. Mayweather ended up fighting Miguel Cotto instead. Mayweather ended up fighting Canelo Alvarez. It's not like Mayweather went off and fought all these second-tier opponents. And I think that's the reason why, whether you think it was Mayweather's fault or whether you think it was Pacquiao's fault, I think that's the reason why his stock didn't drop. And the same thing with Pacquiao. Pacquiao went off and fought, a ton of other guys. And so, named guys, The difference in the heavyweight division is that you don't have that. You don't have a lot of top names in the heavyweight division. There's only three, Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, and Deontay Wilder. Everybody else, to most casual fans, they don't even know. Most people don't know who's Dylan White. Who's that? Most people don't know who that is. So I think that's where the pressure is going to start to mount for an Anthony Joshua and an Eddie Hearn, is because they don't have as many names. You can squeak through with this Alexander Povetkin fight. You can say, Olympic medalist, and that you can squeak through with this fight. But now that Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury are fighting, obviously I'm not sure about the rematch clause, but I would have to assume that there probably is one. So after the first fight, they're going to fight again. So that means the winner is not going to fight Anthony Joshua in April. So who's Anthony Joshua going to fight in April? Probably Dylan White, maybe. Even if it's not Dylan White, let's say it's an American. Let's say it's Big Baby Miller. Big Baby Miller does not carry the type of name. Fans aren't going to be like, oh my God, that's a great, amazing fight. It's a tough fight.
No, but if he could come to the Barclays, make an American appearance, and knock Miller out, I think that would do something for the fight and do something for his stock. I think I wouldn't be surprised if that's what Eddie wants to do before a Wilder fight next year.
I think Eddie.
I spoke about that
Eddie
before,
wants to do
actually.
Dylan White next. I think he would do that. That's the thing. That again, he's got a 2-fight deal in Wembley, so he's not coming to Barclays in April. He's going to fight in Wembley again in his next fight, and I think that's where Anthony Joshua is going to get most of the criticism. Is it appears as though, whether it's true or not, it appears as though he's hiding in England and choosing to fight, English opponents or, quote unquote second tier opponents who aren't Deontay Wilder or Tyson Fury. I think that's the main reason why he would catch more, flack than say a Mayweather or a Pacquiao did, just because that fight didn't happen.
That's a good point.
Interesting. Yeah, I totally co-sign that, Ben. I don't see a different way to view that right now. And it sucks because I personally, and this is something I spoke about a while back in the mailbag, but I thought the logical thing for Hearn to do would have been to put Anthony Joshua in front of the American public. And you know what? Actually, what I thought they should have done was almost like how can you say it? Like I wanted to see Deontay Wilder take a fight over there and Joshua take a fight over here on the same night to set up their next fight. I think that would have been crazy as hell, man. If let's say he did take Fury over there and Joshua take whoever over here, like I thought that would have been pretty good. Maybe Big Baby Miller. But I'm not crazy about the way that we see Eddie Hearn setting this stuff up. But I think it goes to a larger possibility, which is the fact that fight might not happen anytime soon. And it's looking like that's a strong possibility to me.
Again, I think it just comes down to perception. If Wilder did not get the Tyson Fury fight, if Wilder had to fight Dominic Breazeale in his next fight, then I think a lot of fans, would have looked at Deontay Wilder like, oh man, come on. Like I think, I don't think Anthony Joshua will have looked quite as bad if Wilder fought Breazeale as opposed to Tyson Fury. Him fighting Tyson Fury, that was a very, very, I don't want to say it was a PR move or anything like that, because it's a good fight. But it definitely, checked all the boxes in Deontay Wilder's favor as far as who's he going to fight if it's not going to be Anthony Joshua as opposed to Anthony Joshua. So
it reminds me just a little bit of Canelo Khan, just in the sense that I remember around that time we were like, who's Canelo going to fight? And there was no sexy names. It was like some more names that were similar to like a Liam Smith. And then out of nowhere, it was like, oh, actually, we're going to get Amir Khan. And it's a little similar to me because it's like Fury, just like Khan, is a Brit that's going to make it a pay-per-view fight. Well, Canelo is pay-per-view no matter what, but he's going to bring his audience with him over the pond, but doesn't have much of a chance. So, but that it was a surprise that the fight was going to happen. And it was kind of a gift because now you got a bigger event in Vegas than you expected, than a Wilder Breazeale, which wouldn't have moved the needle at all. So it reminds me a little bit of Canelo Khan from in a few ways. So, and that also, Khan was a talented fighter, a gifted fighter, but had to come on. You could put certain stigmas around them coming into the fight. Fury with the inactivity and the drugs and the weight gain, and Khan with being knocked out multiple times, having to come up and wait. But mainly that it was like a gift. It was I didn't expect Wilder versus Fury. I don't think fans did.
So you're expecting the same outcome. Tyson Fury is going to be up on the cards before Deontay Wilder knocks him out.
I don't think he's going to be up on the cards.
Khan was up on the cards, wasn't he?
Yeah, I don't think he'll be up on the cards though. I know. I'm just telling it like it is from my viewpoint, man. He did not.
Are we not giving Tyson Fury enough credit? Do y'all think? Or are we not giving him?
I'm probably not. You guys definitely are.
I'm giving him credit. I think he has a chance to win the fight. I don't know if he's got, but I do think he has a chance.
I can't show my face if he wins.
You're covering the fight, brother.
Right. I bet you I don't say all that shit to Tyson when he's here. Tyson, you look great in your last fight. Did you guys see what happened in the interview with my man Radio Raheem when see if Tyson's so confident, how come he got so defensive about being confronted with the truth that you did win a 10-round fight, but some fans were restless in the audience. And you weren't Sugar Ray Leonard, like he likes to say. I was Sugar Ray Leonard heavyweight in there, and he wasn't. But what'd you guys think about that?
I don't comment on those writers.
I think he was offended with the fact that he said it was a boring fight. I think he was offended with that. Because again, it's.
I think he said that the fans were restless or something like that.
Yeah, but you can't speak for every fan. You can't speak for every. I don't know. Maybe you have to word it a little differently. Maybe say some fans. I mean, I don't know. I'd have to go back and watch that clip. I saw the little clip. I think it was on Twitter or something like that. But I saw the little clip where Tyson Fury did get real defensive about that. But yeah, listen. It was a little boring, but I'm not, I mean,
here's why fighters get offended. This is just simple. This guy just fought for 30 minutes. You sat in a chair for 30 minutes covering his fight, right. And you're telling him what he just did was shit.
Right.
That's bullshit.
It basically just boils down to that.
Yeah, that's what it boils down to. Like, you were sitting in a chair with a credential around your neck. I was fighting for 30 minutes, and now you're trying to tell me you weren't entertained. Like,
but it's like no, but it's like, but then why show up? It's like every time I talk to you, it's gonna have to be positive. Sometimes the fight was boring, and there's got to be a way. There's a respectful way to go about it. You give them their just due that they're warriors that fight and they go in the ring. You give them their just due. There's no question you should do that. But like Larry Merchant used to, and Jim Gray, two of the best. They get in there and they'll ask you, why were the fans booing? Why didn't you do that? Someone's got to ask them that.
Yeah, but here's the thing. If us as media guys should be able to fire off darts, we got to be able to handle darts. Tyson Fury didn't storm away from the interview.
Absolutely.
He didn't say, I'm never talking to you again. He just said,
absolutely,
you go do it. He would knock your head off. So I think if we can get to the point with some fighters, but we got to be able to handle it without. I see so many media guys get sensitive. Like, I can't believe Tyson reacted like that. It's like, I can't believe Radio Raheem asked him that shit. Like, you just fought for 30 minutes and it sucked. What do you think? Yeah, he's gonna be a little offended by that.
Well, I think that's perfect what you said, though. It's like, as long as you could ask and you could take it and you could continue that back and forth, that's perfect.
Absolutely. If he would have got up and stormed away, I would have been like, damn, he's a little oversensitive over that. Or he would have said, I'm never speaking to you again. Yeah, it's cool. He'll talk to him again. Hopefully have another opportunity to impress him.
But you just told him what it was.
That's it.
Right.
That he did not say he was never going to speak to him again. I give him props for saying that. There are some sensitive fighters that will say that.
Ben, you the king of knowing about it.
Well, I do have a couple fighters that are no longer speaking to me. That's a subject for a different show, and we will get into that. And
fellas,
there are some sensitive fighters out there.
I do want to segue into something. I'm falling off script totally here because this has nothing to do with the heavyweight division. But about 20 minutes before we came on air, I was scrolling through my what was it? I believe it was Instagram. And what the hell is going on with Gervonta and Abner Mares? Like, somebody, what's popping with that? The whole burrito thing. Somebody want to go in on that one?
Ben, bring up guys that's not talking to him. You immediately think about it.
Gervonta Davis ain't talking to anybody at Fighthype. It's not just me. It's nobody. He's smacking cameras out of Sean's. He's smacking cameras out of Sean's hands. Like, it's crazy. I don't know what's going on.
What was that? I don't know. I don't know what you talk about, sir.
Yeah, no, I think. I mean, I don't know if I know Floyd put the thing out there talking about that's the fight he wants to make, Gervonta Davis versus Abner Mares. I know Abner Mares actually. Even prior to that, Abner Mares was the one saying, I want to fight Gervonta. So it was really Abner Mares that instigated it. They had a little back and forth when Floyd put the thing out there. I think Gervonta came out and responded something about wanting to knock a burrito out your ass or something like that.
That's fun. Why does it take one to fight anyone that's really, really good in his weight class? I'm just saying. Why does he want to fight Burchell? You know, why didn't he want to? When Tevin Farmer originally wanted to fight him, he played games. I would rather see the Tevin Farmer fight. I think that's a good fight. He should. Doesn't Farmer have a belt now? He's got the IBF.
Somebody said Ben did that foul ass article on Gervonta Davis. See, y'all got to do your research. The article wasn't even on Gervonta Davis. It was a totally different subject. But I'm gonna save this conversation for another date. I don't want to. That's got to be its own special topic. We'll come to that on another date. But yeah, no, it's that whole God. These fans, this shit is funny. We gonna talk about this stuff in the future.
Full disclosure: no fighter bet I'd ever slap or anything out my hand. Just putting that out
there. He didn't slap it out my hand, but I get you mean though. He wouldn't
he touched
slap
it.
it, period.
Don't touch anything I own. I ain't touching anything you own. So we would be good on that. No, I mean you
guys hear me on the video get a little loud, but you know.
No, you held your own.
Yeah.
What you're supposed to do. It ain't going down like that. I did see Tank put out like, man, I've only fought once this year, and then he said, don't let another person control your career. So
who's he talking about?
It seems like every 3 or 4 months or so, he's going to go through this thing where he's upset with the promotion, obviously upset with Floyd and things like that. And I don't know. Maybe that's a maturity thing. Maybe he is beefing with Floyd. Maybe it is Floyd. I don't know. I'm not picking sides.
Al Heyman controls his career.
Okay, well, it just seems like we're going to get this quarterly.
I agree. No, I agree. But I'm just trying to figure out, for all intents and purposes, Al Heyman controls your career. So, what do you really? Who are you mad? Are you mad at Al? Are you mad at Floyd? Are you mad at Leonard Ellerbe? Are you mad at Ben Thompson? He mad at everybody. He mad at Abner Morris. He mad at T.J. Dillashaw. He mad at everybody. I don't know. It's crazy. He
should be fighting the best though. A fighter as talented as him at 24 years old, with the skills he's capable of, the power he's got, speed. He should be fighting Burchell or Tevin Farmer or Lomachenko in the near future. You know, I just gotta say
I want to see you know what? I actually think he does better in that Lomachenko fight than a lot of people seem to think. That's just my thoughts. I'm not saying he wins it. I'm sorry, say that again, Percy.
I said I actually think he may beat Lomachenko. I'm high on Tank's skill set. I'm high on Tank as a fighter.
I'm with you.
I don't know. I would love to see that fight. And Lomachenko's, he's not a young guy like that. So.
Yeah, and guys in the lower weight classes do get older quicker. But I would still give Lomachenko the edge in that fight, but I want to see it sooner than later.
Yeah, now I don't know if some of the things Lomachenko does in the ring, Tank could mentally stay together for 10, 12 rounds. Or as long as the fight lasts, but I would, from a physical standpoint, I would love to see Tank in there.
Talent base.
I'll tell you why I think that's a good fight for Tank. When we look at the fight with Rigondeaux cannot crack the same way that Tank can, and I think we saw a very timid Lomachenko. I don't think he landed more than 8 punches in any round in that fight. I got to look back, but I think someone with Tank's power, who also puts his shots together pretty well, I think would absolutely there would be a fear factor there for
it's intriguing. It's intriguing. And that being said, I don't think Rigondeaux stuck around long enough for anyone to get off on him. I think he kind of packed it in early. But no, Tank is a different animal. I would want to see if he can keep his composure and stay together mentally. But from a physical aspect, a talent aspect, or what you bring to the table aspect, Tank can rumble with anybody.
Yeah.
I don't like him fighting Abner Morris coming off a loss. I don't like that fight.
No, fight Tevin Farmer.
Tevin Farmer's the fight, but having said that, I don't know if that advances his career right now. Even if he beats him, I don't know if that does anything for him.
It's at least a unification.
It is, yeah. but Tevin just got the belt. He literally just got the belt. So
Tevin sounds like he's going in another direction in November. It looks like he's fighting, I think, some guy from the UK. So that fight, for whatever reason, is going to be hard to pull off. I don't know what the reasoning is behind it, but it just seemed like they can even when it seems like we're close, like right after Tevin won the belt, Tank went on the Dillashaw thing. It's just weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Man, we just strayed way away from the heavyweights. We're in the 30 pounders, the 26 pounders.
Yeah. Did you guys see the Bryant Jennings Dimitrenko fight?
Yes.
Only saw the knockout.
Yeah, I did not see it in its entirety either.
Only saw the
Brian
knockout.
Jennings is a guy I would love to had see if they didn't have to rush him. And I think his talent said put him in tough. But I remember when I first started talking to Brian Jennings, he was still like working in a tire shop while he was boxing. And I just think he went from like 2 jobs to Vladimir Klitschko very fast. I would have loved to see because Brian showed me like he has dog in him. That was a nice shot Trenko landed on him that dropped him. And he got up and shook it off, man, and was right back in it. He got a lot of dog in him. I like Brian Jennings. I don't know if now that the Giants have taken over the division, I don't know what his place is.
Yeah, because I like Brian Jennings too because he's one of those more old school heavyweights. Reminds you of guys from the 90s and the 80s, in shape, good build, 6'3", can
225-ish is his kind of weight. He don't got to be 50. Yeah, absolutely.
Does some things that guys in lower weight classes can do. So I like Brian Jennings. I think with that knockout, he's definitely right there in the mix for anybody. So,
I like what I think maybe it was FA said it on I like the Amir Mansour fight. I like those kind of fights for him right now. I just don't know where he fit in with the Giants. Those kind of fights scare me for him.
Yeah, I think he probably, it's an uphill climb for him in those fights. But if Wilder or Joshua or any of the top heavyweights need a legitimate fight when they can't get each other in the ring, he's definitely there.
He's that guy, absolutely. Because Dimitrenko's a huge guy, but obviously he doesn't have the skill set. And like Ben said, it's just something missing with him, a courage thing, or he was wincing and almost he gave the ref every opportunity for the second time he went down and stopped the fight. But yeah, Brian Jennings is a live guy. Just there's some big guys out there, man. I would almost want to see if he can make cruiserweight and go sweep up some belts and then come back up David Hayes style or something. But
that would be interesting to watch. Usyk.
Absolutely. Like there's some European guys he can make some money with in the cruiserweight division.
What about Tony Bellew? You could fight Tony Bellew at heavyweight.
I agree. Absolutely. Just stay in that range, I guess. The guy, even the Derek Chisora. Chisora is kind of a bigger guy, but he's not the most in shape guy in the world. Like guys like that, it's just these talented 6'6" and up guys. It's gonna be an uphill climb, man.
Fellas, let me ask you a question on that. This is something I've championed for a long time, and I think now listening to you guys talk, I actually think more fight fans are warming up to it. I just want to get your thoughts. Back in the day, we looked at guys like Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson. Those guys were killers, but you look at this era where we got guys 6'8", 6'9", who are just crazy athletic. It's just bigger, faster, stronger syndrome all over again. Do you think the sport of boxing would have benefited from a super heavyweight division?
No. Last thing we need is more divisions.
Last thing we need is more divisions. I agree.
Not enough talent. Honestly, I know it seems like it's just happening now, but historically it's been that. If you look at when Joe Frazier was the guy, Big George Foreman took him out. Holyfield, Riddick Bowe, big guy, took him out. Mike Tyson, Lennox Lewis, big guy. It's always been big talent trumps small talent, and it's always kind of been that way. We just have a resurgence because these guys are so much bigger, but it's kind of always been that way.
Do you guys
look at the history of the division?
Do you guys think a prime? Because I think a prime Lennox would still be the best heavyweight in the game. He would have enough size and skill. But do you guys think a prime Evander Holyfield would still be heavyweight champion today?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Good. Yeah. Because we were going one way with the bigger, stronger.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Holyfield brought things to the game you can't teach in the gym.
Along with great skills.
Well, let me play devil's advocate. I'm about to throw on my Skip Bayless hat right quick, fellas. I agree. I agree totally. I'll say that up front. But I do wonder, and we've seen Holyfield take some hellacious shots, but I do wonder in a way, Holyfield or even Tyson, some of the smaller but great heavyweights we've seen, I wonder how they handle that type of power. Like a flush Deontay Wilder shot. Maybe I might be a little crazy. I think Holyfield touches the deck and might be wobbly enough to not recover if Wilder landed something. But I don't see it happening.
You can say that about anybody at heavyweight.
Yeah. And those guys got up, and they got up and fought. And I think those guys, the Holyfield and those guys, they were busier than these fighters.
Exactly.
Yeah. It was very few lapses in action when those guys fought. So I think at the very least, due to toughness and activity, you go in 12 and could possibly lose a decision to any of those big guys. I mean, Holyfield fighting any of those big guys. So I think they would have been fine.
Mm-hmm. I don't think they would have been used to the pace, just like you said. I don't think they would have been used to the pace and so many shots coming at them round to round. And just that guys like Holyfield, Ali, Larry Holmes, those guys.
You know what? No,
they could really get off.
Let me tell you where I differ on that, though, Sean. Here's the thing. You're right. Those guys threw a lot more punches, but and this is no knock on anybody, but you know why I view Vladimir Klitschko as one of the, I wasn't impressed with his era. The reason that I wasn't is because he had so much length on the guys that were trying to beat him. All he had to do was put the jab out there and come over it with something big. I don't know that, I guess what I'm getting at, I don't know that Holyfield or some of those guys would have been able to get in. Clearly they're better talents, but I don't think they would have been able to get in to do enough damage to handle a guy with a reach like that.
I think because he got robbed, I think it was so late in his career, people forget. Holyfield dominated a 7'2" Nikolai Valuev.
Right.
I saw that fight. I remember.
Guy, but he was a gigantic mammoth.
Yeah, but can you listen though? Can you? Yeah, but see, look at this though. Valuev at that point was still fairly slow as hell. You know, he wasn't what he was earlier in his career. Can we really compare him to what exactly? Can we compare Valuev to what we see in a jab like a Deontay Wilder's or even a young Vitaly Klitschko?
But I can flip that, V. You're telling me Corey Sanders is better than Evander Holyfield? This guy knocked Vladimir out.
No. Yeah. How big was Corey Sanders though?
He was like 6'3", right? He was 6'4". He wasn't that big. He had a belly.
Yeah. The other guy. I forgot the other guy's name. Oh, okay. You're telling me Layman Brewster's better than Evander Holyfield? Holyfield's taller than Layman Brewster. Listen.
Let me be clear. Holyfield made up in toughness what other guys have to make up in height and all them other attributes. Holyfield was just a damn brick wall. And honestly, that's what impressed me with him. I'll tell you, as a matter of fact, I've been impressed with those type of guys. I've gotten shitted on a little bit for even Antonio Margarito. Everyone was fascinated and talking stuff about the bricks and the gloves on. You know why I love to watch him fight? You could hit that dude with a brick wall. He wasn't going anywhere. Mosley eventually put a dent in him, but those type of guys, there's certain guys that are just so well conditioned and just take any damn thing you throw at them. So Holyfield was going to be in the fight with anyone, regardless of the size differential, whatever. But he also just had great speed and picture perfect form too, though. You know, let's not overlook talking about his toughness and how big his heart was. That he had some of the best combinations you'll ever see. That combinations he threw against George Foreman, where he unloaded like 13 punches. I tell you what, I will say this, and I guess I'm about to answer the question for myself because I threw it out there one way, but I do think in today's era, Holyfield would defeat Anthony Joshua fairly easily. I think. I don't think Joshua would have much for him. Conditioning alone gives that fight to Holyfield in my book, and I think that he would be hell in a handbasket for Deontay Wilder as well.
Yeah, we kind of going into the mythical match. Yeah. I don't like that. But I get what you're saying. I just think, look, David Tua, Ike Abiabuchi, all those guys made it. You can't tell me Evander Holyfield wouldn't have made it. You know,
I think they were fighting. But see, here's the thing, though, Percy. I think those guys were fighting a different heavyweight then. Like the Vladimir Klitschko that we saw against Anthony Joshua, that was that was something commensurate to this era. Prior to that, he was jab, clutch, I don't give a whole lot of credibility to that personally. And I might be in a minority, but I don't think those guys that Ike and, some of the heavyweights in that era were fighting, David Tua, I don't think they were fighting guys like we're seeing today. Anthony Joshua was big as hell, but he could let them hands fly. What you got, Ben? I see you over there. What's up?
I don't know. I don't think today's heavyweights are as good as yesterday's heavyweights as far as skill. I
think you're 100% right. I'm speaking solely based on size and what they're able to do at
but size don't always matter though. Size don't always matter. I mean, we're talking like, oh, those guys are big, therefore they're going to win. I mean, how many times have we seen a smaller guy beat a bigger guy? Like, again.
Look, the reason that we have the saying in boxing, a great big guy beats a great little guy, is because all things being equal, if you took two guys with totally parallel
I don't think
skills,
we have great big guys.
Great big guys.
I don't think we have great big guys. I think we have good big guys, but I don't think we have great big guys.
Agreed.
The jury's out.
Yeah.
I think Holyfield was great. I think Holyfield was great.
Yeah.
I think Lennox Lewis was great. Mike Tyson was great. Even when you look at some of those second tier guys, the Ikabe Ibuchis, the David Tua,
Michael Moores.
They might not have been great, but they were pretty damn good. And some of those guys probably would have been able to beat today's heavyweights.
Let me ask you this, Ben, and I want to take this one around the table too, fellas. You just mentioned Mike Tyson. I've had this conversation with a lot of fans about Mike Tyson. When you look at Mike Tyson, his prime was in a short capsule. We saw him beating ass everywhere. But when things changed a bit, like Mike's legacy didn't go very far. He was never the same guy, and he lost early. How great was Mike Tyson? I know what I think.
I don't even want to go here.
He's amazing. He was one of the most amazing talents ever, but he's probably one of the most overrated fighters ever.
Depends on who's rating him.
But right. But think about it. Tyson Ali. It's like you just skipped about almost 10 guys that are better than him. When you go straight to that mythical, you skipped the guy who knocked him out, Evander Holyfield.
Right.
So. Yeah, I think he was one of the most amazing talents like the sport's ever seen, but that he's also probably one of the most overrated fighters of all time, despite being a great fighter. But so I think if you think Vlad Klitschko or Joshua Wilder would have beaten Tyson, I don't think you're crazy at all. I think there's a legit argument both ways in those type of mythical Tyson matchups.
It depends on which Tyson they got. The pre-Buster Douglas Tyson, I think, gives all of them hell. I'm not saying he beats them. I think he beats Vladimir. I think he definitely beats Vladimir.
Yeah, I think people say pre-Buster Douglas Tyson, but I think people forget James Quick Tillers gave Tyson hell. Henry Tillman gave Tyson hell. It was way before Buster Douglas that guys with a long jab that could stay on their toes a little bit gave Tyson hell. Point. I personally think Mike Tyson is the most overrated heavyweight possibly of all times.
Yep.
I had plenty of debates because I think Joe Frazier's a close second.
But the key, Percy, those guys that you're talking about, again, were better technical fighters. Like they would use their jab and continue to use their jab. They wouldn't just use their jab for one round and then abandon it.
Ben, but hang on for a second, Ben. Earlier, Ben, of Henry Tillman. I mean, would you put Derek Chisora over Henry? I don't know. I doubt it.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Those guys back then were legit animals, and if you took any one of them light any day, some of these guys show up and know they roll. I don't know if that was the case back then.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the comments popping in over there. Dennis, I see you about talking about Mike Tyson's very skillful. Mike Tyson had the attributes. I just think, like I said, because his limited dedication, his window with those attributes was just so small. If Mike Tyson had Floyd Mayweather type discipline and dedication, I think we'd be having a totally different conversation today.
I think people forget when they say things like Mike Tyson very skillful. He was very skillful. Adrian Broner's very skillful. Zab Judah's very skillful. But the problem is, if we're saying Mike Tyson was done after Buster Douglas, he was 23 years old when he lost to Buster Douglas. So that's a lot of time to be done. I mean, from 19 when he won the heavyweight title to 23 was his prime. So yeah, he is very skillful, but he left a lot to be desired, man.
Yeah, I think he was still pretty much 100% himself when he fought Razor Ruddock. But
that was a great.
Yeah. But those 5 years in prison had to take something out of him a little bit. Took some of his speed away. Took
Took his motivation away, man. It's like
I just thought he looked more sluggish after that. It's not the same speed. But
I just think when you have certain things happen to you, you just kind of it's mental. You just get in this mode where you're just like, man, screw this shit. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna show up and do what I got to do, and that's what post prison Mike Tyson was. I mean, he was just kind of like, you know, let me just get this money, let me just get this hustle, and get up out of here. You know, that doesn't mean he was a bad fighter or anything like that. I mean, he's still, I mean, technically, you know, he still had some skills on him. But when we talk about how would these guys do against today's heavyweight giants, like I don't really look at today's heavyweights, the size of them. Like I mean Tyson Fury is huge, but he's beatable, bro. Like I mean, you could put him in with some of the guys back in Tyson's time, and some of those guys could have potentially beat him. So, you know, it's just. I mean,
look, let's not forget. Look, Sean brought him up the other day as a middleweight. Let's not forget, man. Chris Bird held his own with guys like Vlad and Vitaly, and so I think that to even think Holyfield couldn't sustain is Chris Bird was in there. He's probably honestly a legit 75-pounder at best.
Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know how Chris Bird got in there with them.
165
skills.
Was he doing PEDs?
Maybe.
No, I'm not gonna go there. Hey, honestly, that was a skill. I remember watching him in his early. Let me tell you, man, I was very, very. I like that guy a lot. I love what I used to see with him, and I just think his heart and his skill level pushed him to levels that most guys don't see. And that's really what it was, similar to a Holyfield. The guy had a lot of heart, and he was undersized, but he made up for it with heart.
And I think Chris Bird was one of the first guys to show us, don't just think guys are going to show up and get knocked out. He showed us that defense and reflexes, and you might not punch the hardest, but you can earn respect if you can just tag them hard. He was one of the first guys to kind of show us that. He just did it at an unbelievable time in the heavyweight division.
Yeah.
And so, do we got any other big fights for August, or are we just sitting on our hands until Canelo and Triple G?
I think we're just sitting on our hands until. I mean, there's a couple little small fights, but
I
think we're just sitting on our hands until.
Do you see that?
Actually, until Danny Garcia and Sean Porter.
Porter, right? Danny and Sean, right. Right.
Yeah, I did see that Layla McCarter. I don't want to speak on it though because I haven't posted it yet. So
right.
I will post it later today. That was a good one. That was a good interview. But no, it's all everything is it's all, you know, Fury versus Wilder versus Fury, however you want to call it. We're just waiting on a date. But that being said, if that fight is going to be in November on pay-per-view, it's not looking very good for Errol Spence and Mikey Garcia. I would be surprised if they did back-to-back pay-per-views, one in November and then one in December, right before the Christmas holidays. Like that just doesn't sound.
Am I the only one though that feels that Spence Garcia is not necessarily a pay-per-view fight though?
Yeah.
Like I don't know why
I think you're the only one.
I'm cool with that.
Garcia, I actually think you can see Garcia and them kind of starting to backpedal a little bit. I don't even know if that fight happens. It wouldn't shock me if Errol ended up fighting your Dennis Ugas or somebody coming out. I don't know. It doesn't seem like the Garcia camp is as vocal.
I didn't think it's that dissimilar to not asking, but Mikey wanting to go up to fight Errol Spence isn't that different than if Terrence Crawford wanted to do something crazy like fight Jermell Charlo at 154. You know, I just think it's nuts. I just think it's a nuts idea on Mikey's part.
I think it's nuts just because he has a better fight that he. No, I don't want to say better. I'm sorry. I don't want to say that just because, you know, Errol Spence is tough, very tough. But
Spence should fight Crawford. Mikey should fight Loma.
No, Mikey should fight Pacquiao.
Okay.
Mikey should fight Pacquiao. Beating Pacquiao.
I want to see Pacquiao. I want to see Pacquiao Loma personally. That's the fight I want.
Yeah, that's a good fight. That's a great fight. But Mikey Garcia, the only name he should be calling out is Manny Pacquiao. You have history there. Fight Pacquiao, beat him better than Floyd did, beat him better than anybody did, and knock him out. I mean, you could be the next Marquez. Like, you just get more credit for beating a name like Manny Pacquiao, who's still in this game, man. I mean, he retired Lucas Matisse. That's the only guy I would be calling out. Somebody said KSI Logan Paul in a few days, guys. You excited?
Oh yeah.
I'm actually gonna watch that. That's how sad. A fight is a fight, bro. I'm gonna watch that.
I'm watching. I watch any fight.
Do you know what that is, V? I know you be out the loop sometimes on this newfangled stuff. KSI and Logan.
Hey, if you notice, I sat back for a minute and let y'all boys take it. No, I'm gonna listen to y'all on that one.
Bro, they're like YouTube stars. They're like YouTube stars with millions of subscribers.
Proud
My
to say,
my son told me about this one. Yeah, he was like, "Dad, it's gonna be bigger than some of your fights." I'm like, "Son, what the hell are you talking about?"
It probably is.
Okay, so there was something to what he was saying. Okay,
Look at V showing his age, man. His son keeping him in the loop.
Man, I'm about to be 27. I barely know who these guys are.
27.
Yeah, and I barely know who these guys are.
What's that?
What's that? 27. Wow.
I know. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Probably not doing it as good as you guys did at this age. You guys are probably getting into more fun shit that I should be doing at this age.
Yeah.
I don't know, bro. I don't know. 27 was very.
I don't know about fun, crazy, stupid shit. Definitely for me.
It probably wasn't staying home playing video games.
Somebody said Tarek Higgins said Pacquiao versus Mayweather 2 is in the works. I would love to know his source. That is not true.
Oh God.
That is not true.
No.
I'm good on that.
I can't say I want to see it. Yeah.
I just think Pacquiao can make good fights with active guys that eliminates me wanting to see a Mayweather rematch.
Yeah.
I just want Floyd to stay retired.
Yeah, I don't want to see Floyd fight anymore. I'm good. I'm good.
There's only one thing left to do.
You know what?
Lose.
Let me say this on Floyd, and I would imagine I'm going to be called a few names for this, but hey, if what's the dude name? If Bob Costas can jock Jordan a little bit, I could jock Mayweather a little bit. Let me tell you, I was looking the other night at some of Mayweather's, some of his old fights. It was like a highlight reel. I'm gonna tell you, man, I don't want to see him come back, but the skill level of that guy in execution is totally amazing, and it's unlike anything I've watched. I can watch him fight all day. His skill level is just wicked, man. Some of the just different things he did in different fights, man. It's incredible to watch him execute.
He's not that guy anymore, though. So
No.
yeah.
No,
Actually, if we really Percy.
Yo,
I don't think he carried McGregor. I really just think it was age.
Wrong.
I think he would. I think he would have killed.
Sean. I'm with you.
Wrong.
The first couple rounds.
He would have took him out 2 or 3 rounds in his prime.
Let me tell you something. Floyd looked a little bothered early in that fight.
Here's the thing.
Did what he did.
I saw him spar months before, and that's how he looked. He looked like a 41-year-old. Like
I agree with that
bothered.
to a degree. I agree with that to a degree in the sense of kind of awkward. When you fight an MMA guy, that's a stance you're not used to. He's doing things. He's long.
Southpaw.
I could see things where Floyd was like, damn, this is kind of hard to figure this dude out. But for Floyd to run to the center of the ring and then run to the ropes, that's carrying. He was like, fire off all your punches. I've seen you get tired in 5 minutes. We fighting 36 minutes. I want to see if you can do that. You could just see Floyd knew eventually I'm going to start touching him to the body. And when that gas tank gets low, I'm taking him out. He could have done that at any time. I don't care how hard it was to figure him out. He's figured out world-class fighters quicker than he figured out Conor McGregor.
Floyd told me before the fight exactly what he was going to do, and he did exactly what he told me. I'm not gonna say he carried him.
Should have told me so I could have won some money.
Well, I told you put all your money on Floyd. I
don't give me around, bro. I want some money.
There you go. I'm not gonna say.
Funny thing. I'm not a betting guy.
Go ahead, V.
Go ahead, Ben. Go ahead.
Okay, I was gonna say I'm not gonna say he carried him, But he told me what the game plan was, which is exactly what he did in the ring. You saw it. He walked right to him, hands up, did what he had to do. He said the first right hand I hit him with, the fight's going to be over. He's not going to want to fight after that. And the first good right hand he hit him with, you could tell it like changed Conor McGregor's opinion of what was going to happen. And that's kind of when the fight switched. So,
I just wish Robert Byrd wouldn't have stepped in so early, let Conor hit the ground.
Well, that would have been
split second away.
Yeah, that would have been preferable.
People deserve to see him hit that ground.
The fight was over, though. The fight was over for all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
Conor was
and you know, I talked to a guy that lives out in Vegas, and from what I understand, the commission allowing that fight to happen, Robert Byrd got a good talking to.
Yeah, he did.
We don't want any hospital visits. We don't want any. I mean, you remember when they said Conor had a concussion.
Right.
It was like, oh, they should have never let it happen. So yeah, Robert Byrd was given a good talking to.
That makes sense.
Yeah, Floyd.
Fellas, can we jump out of the ring to the octagon right quick? I know this is more y'all world, Ben and Percy, than mine, but I do follow to an extent. What do you guys think about the Conor fight coming up?
I can't wait.
Can we chop up on it?
See, I don't know shit about MMA. I've never ordered it. I don't know.
But I bet you watched that fight.
But I'm going to watch that fight. Exactly.
That's going to be a pretty good fight.
Exactly.
That's going to be a pretty good fight.
I don't know if it's going to be a pretty good fight. I think it's going to be a pretty good event. Khabib is not a guy that's in pretty good fight. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's dominant at what he does.
Right.
But if you're thinking Conor McGregor about to have somebody that's going to slap box with him, you got a guy that's getting 10 to 12 takedowns a fight.
Right.
Yeah.
Now,
that's where the intrigue in that fight comes, though. Because
major contrast style. But when you're talking to an MMA fan, you say it's going to be a good fight. They're like, V's crazy because Khabib's a wrestler, you know. So I just think it's a great contrast in styles. And if you appreciate MMA for what it stands for, you would like it. Unfortunately, most MMA fans hate what it stands for. Mixed martial arts. They want kickboxing.
I was about to say most MMA fans want kickboxing. They want to see kickboxing fights. But
contrast in style, Conor coming off a long layout. Conor has huge balls, man. I know people don't like his demeanor sometimes and things like this. Conor jumps in the fire, man. I respect that.
Me too. And he's not afraid to take the L if it's coming to him, but he's going to give it what he got.
Hey, man,
and that's what I think.
0-0 fight a 49-0 boxer that call himself the best ever. You don't lack heart, that's for sure.
Dana should ask Floyd to come to the fight.
Should ask Paulie to come.
That's who Conor should be fighting. I really think Conor is leaving some money on the table by not doing another 100%. Boxing match. I think they could legitimately do, as crazy as it sounds, I think they could legitimately do 1 million pay-per-view buys and some if Conor McGregor fights Paulie Malignaggi.
I'm probably in the minority, but I think I'm going to root for Conor just for the simple fact that he fought a boxer. It's like, I don't know. I still come from when Dana White put the UFC on the map, and one of the things he did to do that was to denigrate boxing. So I'm petty like that. If Conor McGregor can win and return to number 1 pound-for-pound status, I'll be like, and he got beat by a boxer. So.
I think it's going to be a very, very hard fight for Conor to win. Khabib is very, very tough. Not saying he's not going to win, but Khabib is very, very tough, especially if he gets him to the ground. If Conor goes to the ground, then it's going to be tough.
And Ben, I think Conor's best shot is his timing. Where is it? He hasn't fought an octagon in so long. Where is his timing? Because he could time Khabib with something, but God, he's been out so long. But hey, man, dude knocked out Jose Aldo in 13 seconds. I never thought I would say that. So
right.
I know how.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was crazy.
What happened? Somebody asked what happened to Floyd going to the octagon.
Oh, you mean that sponsorship money he got to be an octagon saying some name?
Sponsorship money. Yeah.
Shoes off? Yeah, nah, that was never gonna happen.
Yeah. No, I didn't see that one happening.
Nah. Crazy. Yeah.
I paid it a little mind though.
What'd you say?
I paid it some mind though, because every time
you have to.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to. If
Yeah.
Floyd sneezes, you have to pay it. Like, oh my God, Floyd just sneezed. What does that mean? Is he gonna fight again?
No, it's just he has a good knack of whenever people think he's not gonna do something, that's the time where he actually does it. So, but
Yeah.
like remember when he's talking to Pacquiao, Dan Rafael was like, "We just saw WWE. There's no way that fight's gonna happen." Bam, he fights Pacquiao. Same thing with Berto. They're like, "There's no way he really means it. He's gonna fight Berto as his last fight, or and he does it." So
It's not even just Floyd, man. I'm so deep in. Like, look, I'm watching SummerSlam last night. Like, damn, Brock looked mighty small. Guess he is getting ready for the DC fight. Like, I'm so locked in. I pay attention to all of it. And
Wow.
Brock is small.
Ronda Rousey won, right?
Yes.
I thought I saw
crazy.
Cyborg trolling her a little bit.
Yeah, she pulled it off. Yeah, Brock looks tiny, man. So it lets me know he's under the USADA testing banner for sure. So I think him and DC might be actually linking up soon.
DC gonna spray him?
Who? That's a horrible fight for Brock. A guy that can box and can wrestle just as good as you. Good luck.
what if he gets DC in the F5 though?
Yeah.
DC will get out of it. Trust me.
I don't know how Paul Heyman might come in with a steel chair.
Yeah.
Daniel Cormier's never faced nothing like that.
I can't believe you still watch
I'm
wrestling.
taking that 2-time Olympian over that Minnesota All-American.
I can't believe you still watch wrestling, P.
Oh yeah, man. I'm in. That's physical enough for me to be intrigued. I'm telling you.
I mean, I do still watch WrestleMania. I'm not gonna lie, I do still watch WrestleMania, but you got to be dedicated to be tuning in for SummerSlam too.
Just the pay-per-views. I'm not even a SmackDown or Raw guy's gotten so like
garbage.
They writers are bad now, man. But yeah, I'll tune into the pay-per-views, and my son is into it, so I kind of watch it with him.
You fellas are better than me, man. My son is all into it. I haven't watched wrestling since the Andre the Giant Superfly Snicker days, man. Not faithfully.
You skipped over the Stone Cold Rock days.
I
didn't even watch them, man.
Why does that not surprise
still
me?
Watches.
That was the shit.
Hey, my brother, my son, they don't miss any of that stuff, man. It became a male soap opera to me. It's a little different now, man. I like when Dusty Rhodes, my man Ric Flair. Yeah, man. I want to see Superfly jump up and come off the steel cage some more, man. I'm good on this stuff now.
Gyms, man. I like them big venues, man.
Oh boy,
that's funny.
I might have to check it out.
We're veering, man.
Yeah, it's time to go. We're all over the place right now. Long story short, Wilder versus Fury is on. It is definitely happening. 50-50 split taking place, we think, in November 10th, November 17th, possibly. Definitely on pay-per-view, so save your ducats. I wonder how much it's going to cost. God, I hope they don't try and do like a $99.95 one.
I would think 69 max. I would hope 59, but I would give them 69.
Probably 60.
Yeah,
probably
69 better be the HD.
Yeah, HD will probably be $79.99. But definitely on pay-per-view. We believe it's going to be in Las Vegas. Probably at the T-Mobile Arena.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's on, guys. This is no joke. It's definitely happening. Somebody said 1995 in the UK. UK is so cheap for pay-per-views over there.
Oh, they get it good. They get it good.
Right.
Find a good stream, fellas. That's what I do.
Nah, no, you don't. No, we don't do that here at Fighthype. We support boxing. we support boxing. We definitely support boxing. We pay for our pay-per-views.
Yeah, I definitely reap the benefit of them huge cable bills.
Huge cable bills, sickening.
Hey man, trust me.
Somebody said UK is not cheap. Yeah, that $19.95 for a pay-per-view is cheap. I mean, I don't know, that's £19.95, but that is. Are you kidding me? Like, I mean, that's probably like $25 US or something like that. But that is cheap for a pay-per-view, man. Yeah. Here we're paying like $70-$80.
Shit.
You got to take out a mortgage to watch a pay-per-view here. So, but yeah, no, we're definitely going to support that. Looking forward to it. And we'll see what happens. Speaking of the WWE, I see the WWE type promotion has begun. They did a face-off in the UK, not in the ring, the actual show, where they sit, they do the whole, the Max Kellerman type face-off where they sit across from each other. And it looked like it was lit. They put out a couple pictures from it, and it looked like those two were going off on each other. There might have been a table tossed or something. So
why is it that when they stood face to face, I didn't see any height difference, even though
I said
Fury
the same thing. Wilder actually looked a little bit
a little
taller.
taller? Yep.
Wilder might have been wearing some special boots or something, you know.
I was
That's
thinking.
true too.
But yeah, it's on. It's definitely happened. We'll chit chat more about this as we get closer, as we see these guys in camp and whatnot. Percy is gonna try and get a hold of Deontay, see if he can get a few words with him on how his visit to the UK was. So keep an eye out for that. Hopefully we can get that interview. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to it. I don't know when we're gonna go live again, guys, but I'll hit you all up and we'll do it again. We'll talk some more boxing.
Yeah, you know what? Before we drop off, I actually saw in one of the comments there, someone was asking how long has Fight Hype been doing this. Fellas, we've been back on there for a minute now. You can look out for us to do some other pretty cool things coming up. So keep it locked.
That's what's up.
Hey, man.